You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become?
Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
Recorded in Chicago, Illinois, with your hosts, Ken, Matt, Neal, and Jeff. This is Triviality.
Hello and welcome to Triviality, the game where a lack of seriousness meets a little bit of knowledge. My name is Neal. I'm here with Ken. No Matt and Jeff today. We're just hanging out. Is that right, Ken?
Yeah, we're just hanging out, but we're not lonely.
We're not lonely. Jeff and Matt aren't here today. They feel bad that they couldn't be here today, but they're actually on a really good mission. If you're familiar with the company Dior out of France, you may have heard the commercials J'adore Dior. They wanted to...
Dior.
Exactly. They wanted to have a new male fragrance, and they thought, who better to design that fragrance than Matt and Jeff? So,
really?
Yeah. So they're over in Paris right now. They're picking some flavor profiles. I think one of them is like a coffee bean. Another one is what is Jeff like?
Petunias.
Petunias. Okay. So a petunia.
I've smelled those guys.
I don't know if we want a fragrance.
I don't know if we want.
But yeah, so I guess that's what Charlize Theron's going to be wearing in the commercial then, is Jeff and Matt's Petunia coffee fragrance.
Dior by Jeff and Matt.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too appetizing or like you want to wear it. But we do have two people in the studio here who we're excited to introduce who will take their place. They've been listening to the show almost as long as anyone, to be honest, and we'll let them tell that story and we'll get into it. But they're co-patrons. They're both co-Savage Superstars on Patreon, and we appreciate their support. So first, I'm going to introduce Jason Kuntz. How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Going really well. So why don't you tell the story of how you found our podcast, which is kind of fun. You're one of our oldest listeners by listening to the whole show, basically, when it first started.
Yeah, so back multiple years ago now, we were at Trivia with Liquid Courage, as you guys put it, with Jason Borsum. And he brought in one of the business cards that you guys had printed out for when you guys went to your first Geek Bowl. And he brought him in, and I was like, I guess I'll listen to this. I had a trip that I had to take for work the next morning, and you guys had 3 episodes out at the time. So I decided to binge through all 3 of those, and I actually listened to them on the way there and the way back that day. So that was how I got my start with Triviality. So one of the very first listeners, like you said.
Well, you're very dedicated, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you to both Jasons for that double play there. And I think we need to get the ground game going again with the business cards, don't you think?
More business cards. And speaking of that, if any of you are listening and you're in a different city than Chicago, if you want to be someone who is an ambassador who hands out business cards to random establishments, let me know, and I'll ship you some. Yeah, I'll strip you some business cards. You can give them to whoever you want. If you enemies, people you like, doesn't matter.
Depends what you think of the show.
Yeah, exactly. And Jason, before we get to Taylor, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the game?
Yeah, so by trade, I'm a chemical engineer. I work in industrial water treatment, which is a fancy term for I sell chemicals to power plants. So I make sure that the power plant continues to run safely.
Awesome, and you're also in the music world as well.
Yeah, I manage a local band in the Chicagoland area called Choose Your Character. We're on all major streaming platforms, so definitely give us a listen.
Awesome. Choose your character. That's awesome. Now, Taylor, we appreciate you being here today. You've also been listening since the beginning. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hello. I'm Taylor Jordan. I'm here from Chicagoland area. I've lived here my whole life. I'm a test engineer for a company. We make event recorders for locomotives, but that's about the most interesting thing about me. So
that's really cool, though. That's awesome. So how long have you been doing that?
It's about 4 years. So
about 4 years, great.
Yeah,
and
you've
cool. Been playing trivia with Jason pretty much the whole time, like?
Yeah, 4 years. Yeah, we actually started playing because we did Scholastic Bowl together in middle school. So we've been playing trivia for over 15 years together.
Yeah.
Wow. So
did we have a Scholastic Bowl at our school?
I was in Scholastic Bowl
you were?
for 1 year.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, I can answer questions about movies, but as you know, Scholastic Bowl, they don't really ask a lot of movie questions. So It did not last long.
Okay.
So the way that we got into it was they handed out flyers when we were in middle school, and they said, hey, come check this out. We're starting a team. There's going to be free food. And we were like, yeah, free food. And then we did it for 3 years of middle school and 4 years of high school. So
Always the great motivator. One pizza got you in for 7 years.
7 years.
That is awesome. Well, we have a special guest host with us today to sort of oversee this competition between me and Ken and Taylor and Jason. And he's been on the show before. He had a valiant performance in the Oscars tournament and has also been on as a contestant. And that's Shaun Bernstein, coming to us from Toronto, who is a supporter on Patreon as well. So how are you doing, Shaun?
I'm great, guys. Yeah, that Oscar trivia was brutal. Listen to the third round again, and that was my trivia depantsing. So I'm here to kind of reclaim a little bit of strength because that was a crazy time.
Well, we're excited to have you here. I know you've been writing a game for a while, and we've been eagerly anticipating it. But why don't you remind folks about what you do, what you're up to in Toronto, and what your favorite fruit is?
Sure, sounds good. Hi guys, Shaun Bernstein. I call myself a recovering attorney, but now I run a digital marketing agency called The Right Stuff Agency, which is really about helping lawyers and other small businesses tell their stories in plain English to help explain to clients what they do and why they're the best. So that's my whole gig, and I have a lot of fun doing that. I play a lot of trivia in my spare time, so listen to not every episode, I'll be honest, but probably about a good 90%. I'm a bit of a stan. And favorite fruit, had some great fruit this morning. I was at a picnic. Someone brought fruit. It was lovely. Got leftovers downstairs. I'm an apple guy because we grow them here and they're nice, but it can't beat a good berry. So, I'm pretty easygoing.
What a weird question that was. All right, well, let's get to this game. Taylor and Jason are going to be a team. You had a good team name, I believe.
Yeah, so our team name when we play trivia is called Call Me Daddy. So with Shaun being from Canada, we decided to be O Canada.
O Canada. And since they're going with that route, I think we're going to be the Trashional Anthem.
The Trashional Anthem. I like
we're
it.
Trash.
We're trash, and it's the song that makes all raccoons around the world stand up and put their hand over their hearts, their paw over their hearts.
All right, Shaun, which rules reading do you want to hear today?
So the other podcast I love is Gilbert Gottfried, and I think I got to go for some Gilbert.
All right,
let's see Gilbert do his best Canadian accent.
Triviality podcast is 2 rounds of 20 questions worth 10 points apiece. At halftime, there's a special swing round by this week's host. In the final round, players wager points they've earned for a chance to become the cream of the crop.
Crop rules everything around me.
Just sounded like Iago from Aladdin, to be honest.
Iago, who is from Winnipeg.
Yeah. Iago from Winnipeg. It's a very popular name out there.
It is.
All right, so Shaun, take it away, and let's get this game underway.
Hey, everyone. So as we constantly shout loudly from the rooftops, my wife and I are proudly Canadian, home to the land of trivia masters such as the late Alex Trebek, who before Jeopardy, by the way, hosted Reach for the Top up here, which was our version of Scholastic Bowl. Also friend of the show, Paul Paquette, and some other awesome members of the crop. We want to honor Canada in this game, but of course, all Canadian trivia wouldn't quite be fair. So here's how we're going to do it. The first 10 questions will be US-based for our 4 friends in house over there. The swing round will be very Canadian, and the second half will be international to make it fair for everybody.
Okay.
And for the final round, expect a bit of a Canadian twist.
All right, sounds good. Sounds fun.
Here we go. So, round 1, welcome to Americana. First category, a taste of honey. Elvis Presley is most commonly associated with Memphis, Tennessee, and had his most famous home there, Graceland. But what city and state was he born in?
All right, we are going to go ahead and lock in with a guess because we're not too sure on this.
All right, I know that Elvis stayed at Forrest Gump's motel in the movie Forrest Gump. I don't think that helps, though.
No, okay, so I'm pretty positive that it's in Mississippi.
Okay.
So I don't know if we get half credit for state, but I think it's Mississippi. And I feel like the city starts with a T, but I can't get it like all the way out.
I mean, Tuscaloosa is the only...
No, that's Alabama.
Okay.
I think it's Tusk something, but I don't exactly know what it is. I don't know. We can like I have like Tuscola here, but I don't think that's right.
All right, let's just go with that. Yeah, sure.
I don't even know if it's a real city.
So Tuscola, Mississippi?
Yeah,
correct.
All right, yeah, we wrote down a few ideas. Ken said maybe Alabama. I said maybe Georgia, Missouri. But the state that we just kind of picked, for no particular reason was Kentucky. We thought it, could have held the king over there.
Yeah, so I guess we're going with Louisville then.
Yeah, let's go Louisville, Kentucky.
So I'm willing to give half points to one team because Mississippi was correct. And the clue is a taste of honey. I was thinking Tupelo honey, which is an old Van Morrison song. It's Tupelo, Mississippi.
Knew it started with a T.
And I'm probably pronouncing that terribly, so forgive me for the letters from Mississippi. Category number 2, go Bisons. Abraham Lincoln signed the charter for the first non-English university in the U.S. in 1864. What is the main language of instruction at this university? For 5 bonus points, name the school.
Taylor and I talked, and we're going to lock in.
All right, so I'm pretty positive this is American Sign Language School.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds right to me.
I think the name is escaping me, but I think it's French sounding, like LaSalle or DuSable or something like that. I think it starts with Du.
I mean, DuSable, it makes sense.
That's not it. That's not it though.
Duchenne.
It's escaping me. Let's just get the
10.
Get the 10.
Okay, yeah, we'll lock in with American Sign Language.
All right, Taylor actually had this one, so I'm going to let him talk.
Yeah, so I'm glad that all the years of watching Switched at Birth with my sister finally paid off. I said American Sign Language, and I'm pretty sure it's Gallaudet University.
Gallaudet.
So yeah, full points going to one team, and primary points going to both teams. It is ASL, American Sign Language, and it is Gallaudet.
Good job, guys.
Named after a pioneer of ASL education.
Now, I get made fun of because people will say, or Ken will usually make fun of me and say, you got that history question through a really random movie reference, but you're getting gold from Switched at Birth, it seems.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, that's good. It's something good to keep going to that well.
There's Switched at Birth. There was also Deaf U, which came out, I think, in between the time I wrote this game and today, which was a documentary series on Netflix, a reality show set at the school.
The only reason I knew it, because you wrote it on your paper, was they did a production of, I want to say it was Spring Awakening, that was all ASL.
Oh.
And so I remember reading about that and then Lincoln. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Category 3. The impression won't be necessary. Martin Van Buren was the first president to be born a U.S. citizen, but ironically, his first language was not English. What was it?
We can lock in over here.
Okay, well, I was going to say we can lock in right away, too. I'm pretty positive it's Dutch. That's where the van comes from.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
Mr. Van Buren, don't smack me, please.
Said it was unnecessary.
Don't hit me on the behind, Mr. Van Buren.
The van actually comes from the fact that he was trying to load a couch into a van, and he asked the woman for help, and then he just pushed her in. Buffalo
Pivot,
Bill.
President Van Buren, just pivot.
I didn't know Silence of the Lambs was a biopiece on Martin Van Buren.
Exactly. All right, so we also said Dutch.
Yeah, you guys got it. I think I kind of spoon-fed Neal that question, but seeing the Dutch boy impression live is very jarring, I have to say.
Well, I don't know why, but I have to take off all of my clothes, do it, and then put them all back on again.
Oh, that's why you were taking them off. I was kind of concerned, but I know just rolling with it.
Jason gave me a weird look. Well, the reason I did it is because Jason has the Dutch boy poster.
I do.
Oh,
I do have the Dutch boy poster.
Yeah.
So for the listeners at home, people don't know what Neal's giant tattoo is actually of. It's actually Martin Van Buren's face on his back, which is just trippy and really made it a gimme question, let's be honest.
And when I do some dancing, it looks like he's singing because of the art is going up and down.
Yeah.
All right. Category 4. It's cold out. Put a coat on. Sadly, 8 U.S. presidents have died in office. 4 assassinations, and 4 have been from other illnesses. Who is the first?
I'm going to let Ken do this one because he is the master of presidents.
Okay, these guys are locked in. With the clue of put a coat on, I believe it would be William Henry Harrison because he got pneumonia or something at his inauguration.
Now,
he talked for too long.
Right, because he didn't have, they had 2 options of a fur coat and a windbreaker, and he chose the windbreaker.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Yeah, well, it's his fault.
So William Henry Harrison.
Yeah, so I always pride myself in trivia with Taylor being our history buff. If I can get a history question that obviously he also knows the answer to, but we both wrote down William Henry Harrison. So
both points. It is William Henry Harrison. He was in his late 60s. It was freezing cold. There was no coat, and he, like me, did not stop talking, and it unfortunately killed him. Category 5 must have been quite the office nameplate. I'm going to phrase this question very gently to avoid letters triviality. Who was president of the, quote, United States, or technically the Continental Congress as it then was, on July 5th, 1776?
I think I know this. You're good with me locking in.
I have no idea. I think I got the reference he was making, but I don't know.
What was the category name again?
Must have been quite the office nameplate.
We can lock in.
Oh, wow. They're locked in. I didn't know if he meant The Office, meaning the TV show, but it's probably just a president's question then.
Well, I remember the first president under the Articles of the Confederacy, I think, was John Hanson. And that's the best answer I can do if that was in fact what they had ratified. So I would say Hanson.
Okay, not Chris Hansen.
Not Chris Hansen.
Okay, I'm fine with Hansen. I trust you.
Mbop.
And this one was all Taylor, so I will let him take it away.
Okay, so I started thinking, why would it be trouble for Triviality to say it? And that made me realize the biggest autograph on the Declaration of Independence was from the leader of the Continental Congress, so it'd be John Hancock.
It was indeed John Hancock. Points.
Good
points
reasoning. Well done.
Great. These guys are showing us how trivia is supposed to be played here. Wow.
Yeah. So it looks like after 5 questions, these guys have racked up 40 points? No, 50 points.
50 points.
Yeah, they're not perfect in the game, but they got some bonus points to pick up that half point that they missed. We got 30, so we're not too far behind. Let's see what happens in the second half.
Category 6. It was a big year for peace, too. In the famous Black Sox scandal, 8 White Sox players were accused of throwing the World Series against the Cincinnati Reds. What year was that World Series?
We can lock in.
Okay, so
these guys are scaring me a little bit.
They are scaring me.
I mean, I am wearing the White Sox hat in the studio, so it'd be bad if I got this one wrong. So hopefully we didn't.
You didn't tell me when we invited them in that they were just going to wipe the floor with us.
Well, it's taken so long to get them on the show because we're just afraid. They've been listening for so long. They've downloaded all of the info.
And you're naked and afraid because you took your clothes off again.
I'm literally naked. And Chris Hansen, speaking of the devil, is probably going to come in here and tell me to take a seat. So, so everyone watch your waists. So the question was about the Black Sox. And when he started talking, I just started naming all the actors in the movie who were playing the Black Sox because I don't know their names, like Javid Strathairn and John Cusack and whatnot. But I believe it was the 1908 Sox that were the Black Sox.
Okay.
Now my voice is going into a Boston accent for some reason. The Black Sox. How do you feel about 1908? I think it's around that.
I feel good about that as any other guess. So
okay, we're going to lock in with 1908, not to be confused with 1408, the John Cusack, Samuel L. Jackson vehicle.
All right, so on our side, we went with 1912. I believe 1908 was the last year that the Cubs won the World Series.
That's right.
Before 2016.
Or 2016. Back then, though.
No points on this one. Big year for peace was 1919. Was Treaty of Versailles.
I blame Jason.
Yeah, that was my fault.
1919.
We got to listen to these categories.
Yeah, and I love that now there's some divide here because Taylor just said blame Jason. So we've already sowed the uncertainty, the seed. How do you guys feel right now? You still feeling good?
I feel bad that the very first one that I thought I knew was the White Sox one while wearing the White Sox hat and got that one wrong. So we'll see how it goes from here.
Welcome to Triviality. That's what happens. You think you know it and you're way off.
It's kind of a trivia tradition that Jason gets all the White Sox questions wrong. So
it is, actually.
Category 7, all that glitters. When we think of Vegas landmarks, we all think of the classic Las Vegas sign. And I'm going to need exactly here. What does the text of the sign actually say?
We took a picture in front of it.
Yeah, we did.
All right. Well, you want to go with this one?
Yeah, it seems maybe it's just simple and it should be true.
Okay.
So feel free to talk it out, guys.
All right, so we're a little bit torn. Taylor wrote down Viva Las Vegas, and I thought that it had the circles with the letters inside that said welcome to, and I think it's whatever the township. Township is what I've come up with so far of Las Vegas, and I think it's something along those lines.
Okay, I'm willing to trust you because I've never seen the sign in person, but
I actually haven't either, and I've been to Vegas 3 times. Do we think township though? That's the word I'm kind of stuck on. It's
township seems weird. That's a big word to put on a sign.
It's something like that because it's not a city. It's not like the city of Las Vegas. I don't think it's.
Okay, I don't have anything better. If you want to put township, that's fine.
All right, we'll go with welcome to the township of Las Vegas.
And we're saying welcome to beautiful Las Vegas.
That's what it is.
Is it? I don't know.
So You guys were both close, but no cigar here. And funny enough, I've been to Vegas 4 times and I've never seen the sign in person. It says, "Welcome to fabulous Las Vegas."
Oh, fabulous. That makes sense, though.
That was close. I feel
They're
good
very
about
proud
that.
of it there, but it's a little outside the strip, and it's just like you either have to kind of go to see it or you don't see it.
Well, I just remember when we went.
We went to there.
We went to there, but there was just so many people there to take a picture of it, like a selfie or like a proposal or a graduation photo or a sacrifice.
There's a goat hanging from the sign. All right. Question 8, category 8. Hint: it was just before C-Spot Run. In 2000, this actor was ready to rumble with his shocking WCW World Heavyweight title win.
We are going to lock in over here.
Okay, so I think here's our time to admit we have a huge trivia knowledge in wrestling, so I don't have anything outside of just guessing The Rock because it's kind of his time. I mean, it could be John Cena because you can't see him.
That is actually a decent line that times out with about when he was wrestling. So that's a much better guess, I think, than what we had. So
All right, let's guess John Cena.
all right, we'll go with John Cena.
All right, so the logic told me, what actor. So Sean was talking about an actor, not a wrestler, turned actor. And the clue that I heard in there was Ready to Rumble, which, if you've ever seen the DVD cover, is a very muscular arm with a headlock around the head of David Arquette, who's a huge wrestling fan and has wrestled before. So we went David Arquette.
Yep, points to one team. It was David Arquette, and C-Spot Run was a terrible movie he did the year after in 2001. I haven't seen it, but I'm going to venture a guess and say it was pretty terrible.
I heard he's putting on the uniform again for the newest Scream. And Courtney Cox as well. She got rid of the bangs that everyone vilified her for some reason, even though it's just hair.
She looked good.
Yeah.
He is, and he's got that new wrestling documentary. Not sure if anyone's seen it. You can't kill David Arquette, or you cannot kill David Arquette. It's looks like a fun adventure. I think it's on our Netflix, so hopefully it's on yours as well.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Category 9. Is it really the Oscars without her? Meryl Streep is arguably one of the greatest actresses of her generation, with 3 Oscar wins and an astounding 21 nominations. What movie scored her first nomination?
Okay, we're locked in. You guys can talk it out.
This one was, again, all Taylor, so I'll let him talk.
Okay, well,
I was going to say, we were kind of in the same spot you guys were at. Was the first one she was nominated for, also the first one she won for.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the first one she won for was Kramer versus Kramer. So that's what we're going to lock in with, because if there's anything before that, we don't know. This is before our time, so.
So here, Ken wrote down Kramer versus Kramer and Sophie's Choice, which I know she won for Sophie's Choice. But I just remember her looking.
Picking a movie was kind of a Sophie's Choice.
It was, actually. It was.
Yeah.
But I was trying to think of what's the youngest I can remember seeing her maybe winning an award, and she played a bride in Deer Hunter with Robert De Niro, and that's where my gut is telling us to go. So we went Deer Hunter.
So we've basically spun the revolver, and the die is cast now.
Yeah, the roulette has chosen Deer Hunter. And what did you guys pick?
Kramer versus Kramer.
Kramer versus Kramer.
So you got lucky with that revolver. It was the Deer Hunter. It was the Deer Hunter. She was nominated in 78, and then she won for Kramer versus Kramer the next year in 79.
Oh, she did win. Oh, she won back to back. Wow. Okay.
So points going to one team. Okay, category 10. Not Gilroy, that other one. The city of Gilroy, California is known for being the garlic capital of the world and host to an annual garlic festival. But what major American city got its name originally because of an abundance of wild garlic, or stinky onions as the translation is better known, that grew there? It is commonly more known as ramps or wood leeks, if you want to get technical.
Okay, we're locked in. You
Yeah,
guys
we're
too?
locked in as well.
Yeah, we'd be remiss if we didn't know this was Chicago.
Yep, we also immediately locked in with Chicago.
Well done, guys. I had to phrase it very carefully. I think I had it as garlic at first, and then I got a whole lot of flack that wasn't technically correct. So I had to throw in enough hints to get it right that, I'm proud you guys got it. So well done.
All right, and with that, it looks like we have pulled into a tie. It is 60-60.
Wow, and speaking of stinky onions, maybe that is the scent that Matt and Jeff will use at Dior.
Yeah, that's why I ate so many stinky onions, to try to throw these guys off their game a little bit.
I was wondering what that smell was. It makes sense now.
How does it feel being in the sweat lodge, by the way?
It's warm. It's warming up in here.
It is. It's getting hot.
That and my lack of deodorant.
Okay.
That's my mind game today.
Well, actually, before we throw it to Sean, so both Taylor and Jason are Patreon supporters, and so is Sean. So we have to mention our support because we have 3 supporters here supporting us 2 in the studio with all of their help to keep the show continually growing. If you'd like to join them with a bunch of extra audio content, and Jason mentioned he has a poster, a Dutch Boy poster, you can get other perks, different boxes and stickers and whatnot. But most of all, that extra audio, you can go to patreon.com/Triviality podcast to join them. And Jason and Taylor and Sean, you can even jump in if you'd like. But are we giving you too much content on Patreon, or is it a nice mix of extra audio that you guys can listen to once you've gotten through the catalog?
I think it's the perfect amount. I mean, there's always room for more, always more triviality to consume. So listening from the beginning, you can never have too much.
Yeah, I just have to be careful listening to the crop drops at work because I'm always like rolling on the floor laughing while listening to them.
You were a little wild in those for sure. Well, we appreciate it, and the check of payment for saying those nice things will be in the mail soon. Sean, what do you have in store for us today for the swing round? We know you said it was Canada specific, which scares us a little bit, but we love Canada and we want to learn as much as we can.
For the swing round, we're going to have a little bit of fun with Canadian geography. Canada has 10 provinces and 3 territories. Can't forget to mention those. Oh, I see. Our guys have looked at a map. And some of those provinces have some unique place names. For 10 points each, I'm going to give you 4 city or town names. I'm going to try to at least. And you tell me what province all 4 are in. Number 1, Kamloops, Revelstoke, Surrey, Victoria. Number 2, Flin Flon, Brandon, The Pas, Portage la Prairie. Number 3, Sherbrooke, Trois-Rivières, Gatineau, Drummondville. Number 4, Drumheller, Red Deer, Fort McMurray, Medicine Hat. Number 5, Sydney, Lunenburg, Yarmouth, Dartmouth. Number 6, Kingston, Hamilton, Timmins, Sault Ste. Marie. Number 7, Gander, St. John's, Dildo, Corner Brook.
I'll bleep that.
Number 8, Charlottetown and Summerside are the only 2 cities in this province. Number 9, St. John, Moncton, Miramichi, Bathurst. And number 10, Regina, Moose Jaw, Prince Albert, Lloydminster.
I'll believe that too. All right, we will be right back after we consider these provinces and territories.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become? Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
All right, all the answers are now locked in. So let's get these cities one more time and see how we did.
Okay, so number 1 was Kamloops, Revelstoke, Surrey, and Victoria.
Yeah, so I've been in Kamloops before. Me and Jeff were driving from Seattle all the way to Calgary, as we call it. Mm-hmm. So I believe Kamloops was in BC, British Columbia, especially due to the presence of Victoria also in this category. So we're saying British Columbia.
Yep. So I know that Victoria is the capital of British Columbia because they always see a trick question getting people that try to answer Vancouver. So I'm pretty sure this is British Columbia.
Points going to both teams. It is British Columbia. Ironically, Victoria is actually on Vancouver Island. I hear it's very pretty. It's also really far, even from Vancouver. So I have not been.
I've been to there also. Yeah. We had quite an adventure, me and Jeff, up in the Great White North.
Have you ever been to Alcatraz?
I don't know.
Maybe we'll take you there and just leave you there, see what happens.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Number 2, Flin Flon, Brandon, The Pas, Portage-la-Prairie.
Not too sure on this one, but we heard some French stuff happening there, so we said Quebec.
And we were kind of out of answers by the time we got back to this one, and we landed on Alberta.
No points here. It is Manitoba.
Oh, forgot about Manitoba.
I got the other
We
one.
forgot about most of them.
I was flipping. We were flipping.
Okay, number 3. Sherbrooke, Trois-Rivières, Gatineau, Drummondville.
Again, some French stuff happening in this one, so we hedged our bets and also said Quebec for this one.
And we also said Quebec with some of the French-sounding words.
So, yep, this time you'd be right. This is Quebec. Funny thing, there are Franco communities throughout the country, so you can see some really French names in some really English parts of the country. So don't always let it fool you. But
Look, we don't have anything else to go on here, so just let us keep this.
We're a
Ask
bunch
me
of
about
stinky
Chicago
onions
suburbs
over
and
here.
watch me flail. Okay, number 4: Drumheller, Red Deer, Fort McMurray, Medicine Hat.
Yeah, so this is one of the clues that we kind of were just trying to hedge our bets and repeated a couple of provinces that we knew. So we just went with Alberta.
On these two, on 2 and 4, we were flipping between Manitoba and Alberta on them. So this one we went Manitoba, but I guess we already know it's going to be wrong.
I was going to say, yeah, you guys should have gone tails. It is Alberta.
Ooh,
good guess. Good guess.
Good guess.
It helps when you guess Alberta on 3 of them. So now we know those other 2 are wrong.
Number 5: Sydney, Lunenburg, Yarmouth, and Dartmouth.
Neil had a good strategy here, so.
Yeah, this one just sounded sort of Scandinavian to me. It made me think of Finland, and that made me think of Newfoundland. So that's what we went with.
And on this one, we went with Nova Scotia.
Oh, that's the other one.
Points going to one team. It is Nova Scotia. Well done.
See, if I would have remembered Nova Scotia, that would have made a lot more sense.
Number 6: Kingston, Hamilton, Timmins, Sault Ste. Marie.
This one's funny because Neil has it in a very stupid way, so we're going to leave it to Neil.
Yeah, Ken made fun of me. I didn't know right away. We're going down the list. And I was like, Hamilton? Oh, Patrick Swayze's character, Derek Sutton in Youngblood, plays on the Hamilton Mustangs hockey team, and Hamilton is in Ontario, near Toronto. So we went Ontario.
Okay, so my sister-in-law's family is from Sault Ste. Marie, so we knew this was Ontario.
Well done, guys. Yeah, actually, way to go, Neil. Hamilton is that's an odd fact. Hamilton's about an hour the other way from me, from Toronto. Timmins is the hometown of Shania Twain and my mom. So a lot of pride there. But yeah, these are all smaller cities in Ontario.
I always forget Shania's from Canada. Like best-selling country artist of all time. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Number 7: Gander, St. John's, Dildo, Corner Brook.
This is one of the ones that we just hedged our bets with Alberta on, so we are wrong.
And we weren't too sure on this one either, but we took a stab with New Brunswick.
So clearly none of you guys are Jimmy Kimmel fans, because he got pretty obsessed with Dildo, Newfoundland in the year, I think, prior to the pandemic, and I believe was made honorary mayor of Dildo. And Gander was the home base of the musical Come From Away.
Oh, that's right.
Planes were rerouted to Newfoundland over 9/11. Pretty amazing story. Number 8: Charlottetown and Summerside are the only 2 cities in this province.
So we were trying to pick somewhere pretty isolated, and we said Yukon.
Okay, so I just picked the smallest province, so we put Prince Edward Island.
Yeah, points going to one team. It is PEI, or Prince Edward Island. And it is pretty darn tiny. It's beautiful, but you can drive all around it in a couple hours. Number 9: St. John, Moncton, Miramichi, Bathurst.
Again, Alberta.
So on this one, we kind of did the same thing we did earlier, and we thought 7 and 9 we kind of flipped back and forth between, and we went with Newfoundland for this one.
So you guys are the right part of the country, but not quite on the map. It is New Brunswick. And Bathurst is how they say it there, which is very French. There's a street in Toronto called Bathurst, and we say it Bathurst, but out there it's Bathurst. All right, number 10: Regina, Moose Jaw, Prince Albert, Lloydminster.
Yep, thank you, Stacy McPeak, and I believe Kezia as well, up in Saskatchewan.
In this one, thank you, Deadpool. Saskatchewan. Regina, home of Deadpool.
You guys are right. It's Saskatchewan.
After the swing round, it looks like Team Oakland is barely in the lead with 90 points, and we are right behind them at Traditional Anthem with 85.
Well, we figured to make the second round a little more fair, we're going to go global. So we got 10 questions that are a little more internationally themed. All right, round 2, category 1. Going gently into that good night. Westminster Abbey is arguably Britain's most famous church, and the final resting place of some of its most famous citizens over the past 1,000 years. Geoffrey Chaucer, Charles Dickens, Thomas Hardy, and Rudyard Kipling are all buried in a section of the church known as what?
I want to say it's like the Great Hall, but that doesn't seem right to me. That's the Great Hall is what's in Union Station over here in Chicago, like where they shot I wanted to call it the Despicables, but the Untouchables. They were chasing the Despicables. I think it might be like the Great Hall, but I think that's wrong.
It's not a bad guess.
Okay. All right. That's all I got right now.
Okay. I just knew this one flat out. I'm pretty sure it's Poets Corner.
And yeah, points going to one team. It is Poets Corner. The clue was Dylan Thomas going gently into that good night.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that, Ken. It's funny. I watch these things and I learn all this stuff, and then as soon as it's over, it's like my brain just like,
yeah,
and I lose it.
Category 2, Duke of Earl. We hear a lot about the Prince of Wales, Prince Charles, the Duke of Cambridge, Prince William, and the former Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry. Who is the current Earl of Wessex?
Oh, we can lock in.
Okay. Is this possibly a trick? Because he was naming the family in order. He was going Charles, William, Harry. Could it be William's kid? Even though he's a little kid, he's still an Earl.
I was thinking about one of the kids myself.
What the heck's his kid's name? It's Charlotte is one, I think. Freddie? No,
I think so.
Oh, what is his name? What's that little?
I couldn't give less of a about the royal family, so this is tough for me.
What's that little bugger's name?
That royal little bugger.
Hey, oi, come over here.
Cockney.
Yeah, what is this kid's name? It's not Freddie. You don't think it's Freddie? I don't know why I'm thinking.
Is it George?
George makes more sense. That's a more royal name. It sounds like a name of a little kid, like another kid on the playground. Just like slap me. Hey, come on, Georgie. Come on. And bring like
let's say little baby Georgie.
Baby Georgie.
This one was all Taylor, so I'll let him take it.
Okay, so we have a guess. We were along the same lines, thinking it was William's oldest son, and I know that is Prince George, so that's our guess, Prince George.
So you're on the right track. It is one of those kids that no one can remember, but it's not actually anyone that young. It is someone's kid. It's the Queen's kid, and it's actually Prince Edward, who's her youngest, that people just kind of forget exists.
There's another one?
He doesn't get into trouble.
There's really a third one?
There's four kids.
There's 4 kids.
Oh.
He's barely been on the crown,
Prince
so I
Charles,
don't know that much
Princess
about him.
Anne, Prince Andrew, who we don't talk about anymore, and Prince Edward is the youngest.
Okay.
All right. Category 3. Diamonds are forever, but reputations aren't. De Beers is most commonly known for their slogan, "A diamond is forever." But the country's British founder had a huge impact in the colonization of Africa, for which he's widely criticized today, and also has a scholarship and a country named after him, or had a country named after him, forgive me. The scholarship is still around, but the country changed its name in 1979. For 10 points, give me either the former or current name of the country, or an extra 5 points for both.
I think we've got a guess on this. We can lock in.
Man, these guys are on our tails. Can you think of an African country that changed its name? I mean, the Congo, I doubt.
That's Ethiopia used to be Abyssinia or something.
That sounds familiar, yeah. Abyssinia.
So that's, if we can't think of anything better, we can do that. Okay. Let's just go Ethiopia and Abyssinia just to hedge our bets, make sure we name a country.
That sounds good.
So Taylor knew the lock-in answer, and then we had to coin flip on what we thought the second part of it was. So I'll let him talk it out.
Yeah, so I knew this is a Rhodes, so I knew it was Rhodesia, and that was the former name of the country. And then I always flip these two, the two Z countries, Zimbabwe and Zambia. So we locked in with Zimbabwe, but I may have flipped it.
Wow, 15 points going to one team. It was Cecil Rhodes. It was formerly Rhodesia, and it is now Zimbabwe.
Good job,
so,
guys.
Well done, guys.
Rhodes Scholar is probably what he was referencing.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. There's some smart cookies sitting next to
I
us.
know. I will take none of that credit. This has been mostly Taylor the entire game.
Category 4. There's power hungry, and then there's... Speaking of Zimbabwe, in the past 4 decades, the country was best known for being run by this strongman leader, who was the country's prime minister from 1980 to 1987, and then president until 2017, finally leaving power at age 93 when he was ousted in a coup. Who was this controversial leader of Zimbabwe?
Remember the news story?
Yeah. This isn't Forrest Whitaker, right?
No.
Okay.
Good, because that's what I was thinking of too.
Yeah.
I was pretty sure he was a different country, but
I mean, we could go Forrest Whitaker, but I'm not going to get his name.
Yeah. I'm glad there's more international questions on the show for listeners, but for my sake, it's just not good for me. But I'm glad I'm learning something.
All right, let's just tap out on this one because there's no way I'm going to be able to pull it. I think I know the first letter, but I'd just be making up a name.
I'll just say the Forrest Whitaker character, which is Idi Amin, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, we'll just say that.
we didn't know this at all, but I remember when we graduated high school, there was Coney 2012 to try to get Coney out. Really never looked into who that guy was, so our guess is Coney.
And we just kind of had to tap because there's no way we can pull this guy's name, even though I remember hearing about it on NPR and stuff. But we said Idi Amin.
Fair enough. The correct answer is actually Robert Mugabe.
Oh, Mugabe.
Who was around forever, made a lot of news, was crooked as can be, is now deceased, and I think is still trying to cling to power. So that's the extent of his demagoguery, if you will. All right, Category 5, the handshake heard around the world. In 1871, after 2 years of searching, journalist Henry Morton Stanley famously tracked down the missing missionary Dr. David Livingstone, who had been missing for 6 years. The meeting is still remembered for Stanley's reported greeting upon finding his subject. Quote, Dr. Livingstone, I presume. In what modern-day country did this meeting take place?
I've heard this too. Dr. Livingstone, I presume.
I think I have an educated guess on this one, so let's go for it.
I'll trust you. Let these guys talk.
Yeah, once again, this was Taylor leading the way with geography. So.
Okay, so I remember that Livingstone was looking for the source of the Nile. I think he was by Lake Victoria, but that's about as far as I know because I don't remember which countries are surrounding Lake Victoria. So I know Kenya is in that area, so our guess is Kenya.
And we're just, we know Stanley Falls, I believe, is a location. So we're saying Congo or Democratic Republic of Congo.
So you're on the right continent, but not quite in the right country. It was actually at Lake Tanganyika, and the country today is Tanzania. So it was now in what's now Tanzania.
All right, so Oakland grabbed an extra 25 points in that first half, so they're at 115. We just are standing our ground at 85.
Yeah, why get
for
any,
a late surge?
Why get any answers right? Let's go for 5. Yeah.
Category 6 gives you guys a bit more wiggle room. Category is spoiler alert. We and a few others overlap. The other day I heard an episode of Triviality with a question about the 76 countries that drive on the other side of the road, the left side of the road. Those countries generally, but not all, are members of the British Commonwealth. And of course, the Brits are known for driving on the left. Similar to the Commonwealth is La Francophonie, which is the collection of French-speaking nations and various former French colonies. Funny enough, the two groups actually have the same number of members. Within 5, how many members are there in the group of Commonwealth nations or in the Francophonie? Within 5.
All right, we are going to lock in here.
Okay, so you wrote down 30 as a guess. Do we want to go a little bit higher, thinking that it's not going to be on the lower end of 25? Maybe say 35, which gives us...
You're not saying that we're part of it. You're saying modern day?
You're good.
Okay.
Well, I think it's 32. Like, that's a number that's sticking in my head because of last time I watched the Commonwealth Games.
Okay.
But
so do you think it could be higher than 32, or would it be lower?
I think it could potentially be higher, so I'd rather go 35.
35?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll lock in with 35.
And we are just sticking with 30 on this one.
So it's actually a little higher than that, but it's lower than the 76. It is 54. And I say members because Canada, funny enough, is in there twice. I think Quebec has its own membership, as does New Brunswick, which is our official bilingual province. So I'm not sure how many nations actually have a dual membership of some places. There are 10 countries that are in both groups, which is really interesting. I guess they had dual origins. But 54. So anywhere from 49 to 59 would have gotten points. All right, category 7. Mad Max. Try Mad Facts. Mel Gibson and Nicole Kidman are two of Australia's biggest exports. But what other nationality do they have in common?
I don't know if this is a trick because, maybe I know where Mel Gibson was born, but I don't know if.
Well, I'll go with that.
Actually, maybe Nicole Kidman was born there too. All right, we're gonna lock it over here.
Okay, I think I remember hearing on Triviality once that Nicole Kidman was born in Hawaii. So our guess is they have United States citizenship.
Using our own recordings against us. Look what we've birthed here. I believe Mel Gibson was born in New York, so we're going American.
What hath Neal wrought? Yes, they are both American. You're right. She was born in Honolulu, and he was American.
I thought I was overthinking it way too much there, so that's why.
I always thought Mel Gibson was Scottish because of his great accent.
Just such good acting.
Yeah.
I thought you also though said you also thought he was a colonial American because he was so convincing in The Patriot.
Yeah, that's right. It's a very good movie, The Patriot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here's a little story for The Patriot real quick. Jason Isaacs, who is from Harry Potter, as everyone knows, he was doing an interview recently, and someone said, I heard you had a Smithsonian American history expert on the set for The Patriot. And he says, yes, we did. And he said, here's a funny story about it. I was talking to the guy once, and I said, hey, we're doing this scene like in the battle, and they're all carrying the flags. It looks really, really cool. Did that happen? No, that never happened. Would this have happened this way that the soldiers marched into battle? No, that wouldn't have happened either. And he's like, why are you here? And he goes, I think it's just so they could say they had an expert on set.
Yeah, so they just hired him so they could say it, and then they ignored him, everything he said.
Yes. Yeah.
Category 8. Grunt if you know the answer. When he's not beating up paparazzi, this Hollywood entertainer also enjoys a bit of rugger. Who has been the famous co-owner of the National Rugby League's South Sydney Rabbitohs since 2006?
We are locked in.
Okay, well, I remember seeing this. I'm pretty when I was in Australia that I think Russell Crowe owns this team, so we'll lock in with Russell Crowe.
Yeah, and I think his clue, not only the paparazzi, probably throwing phones at them, but 30-odd foot of grunts, his band, we went Russell Crowe.
Well done. Points all around. It was Russell Crowe. Category 9. A great soul and a pretty decent negotiator. We think of Mahatma Gandhi as a quiet revolutionary who led India to independence. But before he earned the nickname Mahatma, which means great soul, what was Mohandas Gandhi's original profession?
Okay, we can lock in.
Oh, so I think I saw a picture of him in a nice suit before he wore his more famous garb.
Yeah, but if the category is a great soul, do you think he's a shoemaker?
I was just thinking, yeah, I wonder if he was a tailor or a cobbler. You ever seen The Cobbler with Adam Sandler, by the way?
I've seen parts of it.
You know what's funny? It's directed by the Oscar winner.
By Gandhi.
It's directed by Gandhi, yeah. Directed by the Oscar winner of Spotlight.
Oh, really?
Very random, yeah.
Well, I think we should say he's a shoemaker.
Okay, so a cobbler, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, shoemaker, yeah.
So I believe it's a cobbler, technically, Ken. I don't know, though. I don't actually know that. That's what we'll lock in with.
So from the hint in the category, we actually took the other route from the Great Negotiator, and we went with lawyer.
So some former lawyers lead their people to independence. Others wind up hosting Triviality. But yeah, no, points to one team. He was a lawyer or attorney.
See, I knew I saw a picture of him in a really nice suit, and I was going to say lawyer.
I thought you were on the right track there, and then you took a hard left turn.
I know, Ken just took me on the wrong route there.
Sorry.
Because I'm right. There's a picture of Gandhi in a really nice suit like before. Okay.
He's outside his law office,
in
that picture.
You can wear a suit and make shoes.
Maybe he was a cobbler.
Or be
lawyer.
Lionel Hudson, do both for the record.
Yeah.
I'm sure all of the, I think we have at least over a dozen lawyers who listen to the show roll their eyes at that question that I got it wrong. I don't know. Sean, did you roll your eyes?
Well, I mean, it just kills me that you're not a Simpsons fan, because there's a great joke about Lionel Hutz making shoes in court, and as he's in the middle of losing, he's hammering souls and says, "Judge, these won't be ready till Thursday." All right. Category 10, final question of the main rounds. I've never been, but you may have. Originally built as a mausoleum, Today, the Taj Mahal is one of the most visited tourist attractions in the world. We know it's in India. What city is it in?
No.
Oh, we can lock in.
You keep saying the part of the question that I know in the question.
Yeah, I just learned that it was a tomb the other day. Is it Punjab? I know a lot of Great British Bake Off contestants come from Punjab.
Does it start with an R?
R.
I'm not going to get this one. Do you want to say Mumbai then?
Mumbai? Yeah. It's a big city.
Yeah, we're not going to get it.
All right, we're locked in with Mumbai.
So Taylor wrote this one down pretty quick, and I agreed with him after he wrote it down.
Okay, so I just gotta make sure I don't mix this up with the city in Aladdin. Pretty sure it's just Agra.
Points going to one team. It is Agra.
So we cracked 100 here and got 105, but the Canada team is forging ahead at 155.
So when we came into this, we said if it was going to be a pop culture heavy game, like a lot of the Triviality games are, we were going to do very poorly. We said if it was not, we thought we stood a chance. So I think we're doing okay. I think it's really going to depend on what this twist that Sean says we have in store for us in the final comes down to.
Twist is it's all movies.
And you can tell that's a great Triviality listener here because that was a perfect segue. Sean, what is that twist?
So, for today's final, we're going to combine our favorite subject, Canada, with everyone's favorite passion, trivia. That's right. Our final round is a tribute to Canada's beloved trivial export, Trivial Pursuit. We're going to do 6 questions, not the usual 5, going to break the mold a bit, with the following categories: geography, entertainment, history, arts and literature, science and nature, and sports and leisure.
All the wagers are now locked in. Let's get the questions. See if we can turn this thing around, Neil.
I know, I'm hoping we can because I'm feeling a little nervous, but I feel like it's at the end of the movie here. We're at the final scene and we got to put up or shut up. And we just need a nice Kurt Russell speech and we'll make it happen.
There's a little something for everyone here, so let's see how we do. Geography. What is the world's oldest continuously inhabited city, which despite recent turmoil in the past decade, has shown evidence of inhabitants for the past 11,000 years? It's also known as the City of Jasmine. Entertainment. To date, there have been 15 EGOT winners. Means they won the Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. Who was the first to pull off this feat? History. Born as Sarah Breedlove, America's first black female millionaire, created an internationally known line of hair products using what name? Arts and literature. The musical artist Moby's first name is actually Richard. His natural blues may as well refer to the deep blue sea, since he claims to be the great-great-great-nephew of this seafaring author. Science and nature. What was Albert Einstein's day job when he devised the theory of relativity? And the last question, sports and leisure. I would be remiss, nay, dishonoring my wife, if I went this entire game without a Simpsons question. In the episode Homer at the Bat, Mr. Burns had a company softball team filled with legends such as Roger Clemens, Steve Sachs, Ken Griffey Jr., and Jose Canseco. But those weren't the players he really wanted. For 10 points, name one of the 3 19th and early 20th century baseball legends that Burns proposed to Smithers to put on the team. Hint, you've likely heard of one's baseball card, probably heard of another player, and the third is, well, pun intended, a bonus 10 points if you can name all 3 players.
All right, so it's 10 points each player, and then
A bonus 10 points if you can name all 3. But since Matt's not here, we'll see how we do.
So then strike your wager on that last one. And
Okay. All right, we'll take a look at these and we'll be back in a moment.
all the answers are now locked in. So let's get the questions one more time, see how we did.
Alrighty. So, first question was geography. What is the world's oldest continuously inhabited city, which despite recent turmoil in the past decade, has shown evidence of inhabitants for the past 11,000 years? It's also known as the City of Jasmine.
Yeah, so of course we didn't wager on this one because it was geography, but we're pretty sure the answer is Damascus.
And this is another one where I actually knew this one, even though Taylor also knew it. And we also put Damascus.
What was your wager?
We put 20 on this one.
I'd say points all around, but one team didn't wager. It is Damascus.
Yeah, we know.
Entertainment. To date, there have been 15 EGOT winners. That's the Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. Who was the first to pull off this feat?
So, like often on Jeopardy, they say they want to say a true daily double. I've always want to say I bet an Oakland 5. So we put an Oakland 5 on this one. Little did we know, we had no idea on this one. So we just guessed Judy Garland.
Good guess. We went big on this one. We went 30. And I believe the Hills were alive with jealousy as Hammerstein looked over to his friend Richard Rogers after becoming the first EGOTs. We went Richard Rogers.
Captain Broadway gets it. It is Richard Rogers. That is a deep cut.
All right, so wisely we wagered 30 points on that, so that'll help us out here.
All right, third question was in history for the third piece of the pie. Born as Sarah Breedlove, America's first black female millionaire, created an internationally known line of hair products using what name?
We wagered 15 on this one. We're familiar with Breedlove. We just did not know the name of the product, but we know that the Oscar-winning short film Hair Love was titled Hair Love, and we thought, well, maybe she put her own name in the product. So we said maybe it was called Hair Love.
And similarly to the other team, we've definitely heard this story. We could not think of the name, though. And we just guessed hair in a can.
And your wager?
We luckily bet 0 on this one.
So the answer is actually the name that she had used, not so much the name of the product, hence why I sort of asked you, using what name. The name was Madam C.J. Walker.
Oh,
which
that's
I believe
right.
is still in use. I'm not as familiar with hair products as I should be, but it was quite the international sensation. Okay, piece of the pie for arts and literature. The musical artist Moby's first name is Richard. His natural blues may as well refer to the deep blue sea, since he claims to be the great-great-great-nephew of this seafaring author.
For 15 points on this one, the author of Moby Dick is Herman Melville.
Yep, and we also remember this trivia nugget as Herman Melville.
And your wager?
We put 10 on this one.
Points all around. He is Richard Melville, and he claims to be the descendant of Herman Melville. Category Science and Nature. What was Albert Einstein's day job when he devised the theory of relativity?
For 10 points on this one, we said he was a clerk.
Okay, we put 20 on this one. I don't know if we need to be more specific, but I put he was a pen clerk.
Listen, you're going to win anyway, so just let us have some points here.
That's fine.
I'll go broadly with the points. I think the technical title is patent examiner. I always knew him to be a clerk at the patent office, so clerk, examiner, patent. I'll be pretty generous on that one. And the final question, sports and leisure. Never my strong suit of Trivial Pursuit, but hence why I made it a little more me. I would be remiss, nay, dishonoring my wife, if I went this entire game without a Simpsons question. In the episode Homer at the Bat, Mr. Burns had a company softball team filled with legends such as Roger Clemens, Steve Sachs, Ken Griffey Jr., and Jose Canseco. But those weren't the players he really wanted. For 10 points, name one of the three 19th and early 20th century baseball legends that Burns proposed to Smithers. Hint, you've likely heard of one's baseball card, probably heard of another player, and the third is, well, pun intended. And a bonus 10 points if you can name all three.
We weren't super sure, but we came up with a short list.
Yep. We know for a fact that the baseball card reference is Honus Wagner, most expensive baseball card ever. And then we just went Mickey Mantle and Babe Ruth to throw some Yankees in there.
So our locked-in first answer was also Honus Wagner for the baseball card angle. And then our other two answers, we went with Ruth. And just as a guess out there based on the pun intended, we just went with the last name Burns.
So well done, points all around, because you threw in that pretty juicy hint about the baseball card. It is Honus Wagner, and the players were Honus Wagner, Cap Anson, who played in the late 1880s and 1890s, and Mordecai Three Finger Brown, who I believe was missing most of two fingers and threw the ball with a very tight grip with the remaining ones that he had.
All right, so 10 points per team on that one, which brings our total to 155 over at Traditional Anthem, living up to our name, of course. But today's cream of the crop with 210 points. Oh, Kalnada. Great job, guys.
Are you Carly Simon? Because nobody does it better. You're the cream of the crop.
Thank you very much.
All right, so pretty much spanked us there.
Yeah, it was a good spanking. I mean, it was needed. We haven't had one in a while, especially from the hands of someone else. Usually it's just ourselves spanking each other.
Well, you know what? I don't mind a spanking at the hands of a Patreon supporter.
Exactly, especially one that's been with us for so long. So, yeah, thank you guys for hanging out today.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a blast to be here.
Awesome.
We'll have to come back.
Yeah, of course. Let's start with Taylor. Any people you'd like to shout out? Anything you'd like to say before we let you go?
I don't know. I just want to shout out my parents. Thanks for raising me and doing all the good job. So
awesome. Well, yeah, shout out to Taylor's parents.
Me too.
Yeah, Ken too. What are their names?
they're Wendy and Larry.
Wendy and Larry. Great names. And Jason, anyone you'd like to shout out?
Yeah. Everybody else that plays with us at Trivia, call me Daddy. Shout out them. Shout out to my wife, Kelly, for graciously deciding to babysit our 8-week-old puppy so I could come over here to record with you guys. And then I'll just do one more shout out to the band that I manage, Choose Your Character.
Awesome. Well, yeah, please, maybe we can give Ken some Choose Your Character for the outro music or something and throw it in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Sure.
And Sean, wonderful game here that you hosted. Some international questions, Canada questions, American questions. It was all over the board. Really great. Any people you'd like to shout out to? The floor is yours.
Thanks, guys. I was going to say, Ken, I don't have enough money for the spanking level Patreon. It's a pretty hefty sum each month, and just to fly to Chicago to smack your butt is a little beyond my pay grade.
Too bad.
Thank you, guys. This was a lot of fun. I've been a fan for ages, so this kind of was a dream come true, and I'm glad I got to do it. Huge thanks to my wife, Shenandoah, who was on the original episode with me that I was on, and is also a devoted listener. To Tony Schmidt and Russ Friedwald for playtesting this game and doing a pretty wonderful job. To my own trivia team, turned down for Watt, back out in Durham, Ontario for the most part. To Neal for helping make all this happen. And, one final shameless plug, because I know there's a lot of attorneys who listen. I'm the Right Stuff Agency, WRITE, the Right Stuff Agency. You can look me up, find me. Happy to chat with you guys about anything you need story-wise and making sure that you're getting your message out there about why your clients need to come and see you. So let's do a free consult, and I'm happy to chat. This was fantastic. You guys did an amazing job. There were some tough questions, and you all killed it. So well done.
Well, thank you so much, and we appreciate you being here. Sean is a great writer, so all of our counsel, please check him out. Jason, Taylor, thank you for joining us. Jeff and Matt, we hope that you find some sort of fragrance to bring back home that is palatable, but most likely it will not be, and Ken and I will be refusing to wear it, but we'll support you either way. So
I'll give him a sniff.
Yeah, one sniff is enough, I think.
What Patreon level is the one that you get to sniff?
Sniff one of us?
Yeah.
We'll tell you after.
Sniff me for $1.
Just give Ken a $1 bill and we'll let you sniff him. Well, thank you very much to Sean, Jason, Taylor, Ken, and Jeff and Matt who are not here. My name is Neal, and that was Triviality. A second message I've gotten on Instagram, and it's spam, but I had to look over your profile. Seems like you're a great fit. Smooth My is interested in working with you. Can you please drop them a message? Here, at Smooth My give them a message. It's like a male grooming product. Like, why would you? I don't want to be an ambassador for Smooth My.
I'll be an ambassador for Smooth My.
Look, if Gilbert Gottfried's doing Blue Chew, I figure you guys just take it to the next level. Come on.
I could be a poster boy for Smooth My.
Yeah, you could.